as well as important from the perspective of, we can say, along with essay, the topics which are quite important from the dimension of creating answers in GS. How about you create a tentative introduction and write it? I encourage the students that, like, create a tentative introduction which is incorporating a wholesome definition. So everyone was trying. I said, keep the language simple, keep it short. So words like ethical governance, values, democracy. So there, because I was talking about democracy, I was reminded of her. So she wrote a very simple but a very brilliant statement related to the definition of democracy. She wrote, democracy is treating others the way nature does. Full stop. That's it. Okay, think about it. Democracy is treating others the way nature does. How does nature treat us? Free from any form of discrimination, irrespective of our gender, caste, religion, we are treated equally, right? So that's what democracy is. Like, we can see treating others the way nature does, definition, when we speak of it, right? So I hope all of you are able to understand this given subsegment, right? No quote is fine. Yes, 110%. Even if you're not writing a quotation, that's perfectly fine. The only thing is the idea. How you are able to spin the idea, how you are able to reflect upon the idea, how you are able to substantiate the idea. Okay, that's something which is of prime importance when we speak of it. So I hope all of you are understanding that that how this component of definition needs to be taken care of, right? I hope all of you are getting this. So, definition, it should be wholesome, relevant, interesting, and fresh. Don't try to write boring definition that you consider yourself. If someone is writing, you have to evaluate some 100 odd copies. And in 100 odd copies, if you're finding the same definition, same quotation, that can be like little dissing off, right? So, you can always prepare certain things beforehand. You can always find the trend of the topics which are oft repeated, and those topics you can create a list of quotation or a technical definition or certain list of points and segments. It can be prepared beforehand and kept, right? I'll be discussing about the trend and this and that little later. Right now, when we are talking about content creation and when we are talking about types of introduction and definition, what I imply to say that let the definition be fresh and wholesome. Like, for example, this component of quotation, I said, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Recall what Swami Vivekananda had said. Swami Vivekananda, he said that about sports, he said that if you really want to find God, you can easily find him in a football field rather than religious scriptures. It is such a wholesome statement and so very deep and reflective. If you really want to find God, you can find him more easily in a football field rather than religious scriptures. Think. So, how is football bringing us closer to God? What are the like elements which helps us to get closer to God? What are the qualities we need to have to get closer to God or to our to the larger spiritual existence? What are the qualities that are needed, and how those qualities can be exercised more easily in a football field rather than while reading a religious scripture? Think, think, think. Isn't it so breathtakingly beautiful? Right? So this is what we, yes, the answer is associated with unity beyond doubt, Kharanshu, right? So that's what, like, I'm inspiring you. Read good stuff. Ethics is exposing you to a world of goodness, and borrow that insight and prepare it even for essay. That is going to fix your world like anything. It is going to ease the process like anything. All right. Now, as we all are understanding this bit, we all can, so definition, quotation, everyone is understanding this, right? Now comes the component of anecdote. Anecdote, which is also like you can understand in simple language, called stories or short stories. So with the component of imaginary situation, real life experiences, mythology. Now real life experiences is your real life experiences. You can just consolidate anything which is associated with your real life, or you can also like write stories from, inspiring stories from noted people across the world who have contributed something immensely or who have undergone certain processes to experience something which brought about a qualitative change in their life. Okay, so when we are talking about this given phenomena, let us consider this segment of, like, let's say, this mythological or real life or imaginary in a profound manner, right? So what do we imply by this? So like, let's say you are reading about M Vishweshwaraya, or you are reading about Gandhiji's some life experience, or some life experience of Nehruji, or some life experience of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, or you are reading something about Swami Vivekananda, okay, or you are reading something related to Sir APJ Abdul Kalam, or you are reading some incident associated with ancient or medieval history. You can bring all that and you can quote it like in a very brief manner as anecdote. Please remember that the way stand up comedy fails, if someone is stretching a joke unnecessarily, I mean, you will be listening, you're like, now it is intolerable, I cannot just bear with it, and then you just leave. In between only you leave, you don't feel like watching. You have that freedom while watching a stand up comedy. The examiner does not have that freedom while evaluating your paper. So if the examiner is getting bored, then in that situation the examiner will start penalizing you. So that's why if you're writing a long, like, because see, it is very important for a story to land well, whether it is a stand up comedy or it is an essay. But you need to know where to land and how to land it and how not to stretch it unnecessarily. So when we are speaking of this given segment of real life experiences, see to it whether it is real life or mythological or imaginary, it is briefly expressed, it's not stretched unnecessarily, it's not like written in greater detail. Okay, that is something that you have to avoid as much as possible when we speak of it, right? So I hope all of you are understanding that. So Shivam, try to find it out. That's how you learn. Create your own sets of breakthroughs. What is the beauty of the meaning of the statement spoken by Swami Vivekananda? So many other statements you will come across, so many segments you will be getting exposed to. Think about it. This is just the beginning. The we can say the initial breakthrough of getting exposed to thought provoking statements, right? Ask yourself what is needed for getting a spiritual breakthrough. What are the segments that are needed? Wholesomeness, unity, concentration, being there, present, alert. Keep thinking, like like guided in a wholesome manner, motivated, optimistic, right? Think about all the qualities and connect it with the qualities needed to attain God or spiritual breakthroughs. Okay, so that's how you'll get it. Though I have hinted, but you can gain that given possibility. So, anecdote, let it be short and simple. Let it not be too stretched. Let it not be like a story writing competition, right? Again, with respect to this mythology, when we speak of it, let mythology be again thought provoking. Like, let's say there is a mm, topic related to child delinquency. And in the topic of child delinquency, suppose if you give the example of Buddha's life. Okay, you must be knowing about Angulimal. Are you people aware of Angulimal? Yeah, in Jataka tales, Angulimal is discussed. And this man, he used to, like, after killing the people, looting and plundering, he used to cut their little finger. And then after cutting the little finger, he used to like sew it like a bead. And he was wearing a necklace of all the little fingers of people whom he had killed. And he had killed 99 people, and the documentation of that record was in the necklace he was wearing. Okay. And yes, a story in standard 3. Okay, so different people have different kind of memory related to it. So he was looking for the 100th person that he aspired to kill. And in that moment, Buddha was passing like through the forest. And as he was passing by, he just ran towards him and he said he wanted to kill him. Remember all that? Yeah, okay. So you don't need to write this related to delinquency. What is it that you can write? Suppose you have to start with mythology. So suppose you are starting with that. According to Jatakas, the historical background of, or the background, if you miss the word historical, it's better. Okay, so the background of Angulimal was that he was a prince who was thrown out of Gurukul because the Guru, because his classmates had falsely implicated him in few incidents, full stop. The Guru, being agitated, threw him out of the Gurukul, and later his father, comma, the king, being angered, ostracized him from the society or ostracized him from the kingdom. Okay, second sentence. So Angulimala, when I hope you are all are understanding what I am saying. So first time he is kicked out of the Gurukul. Why? Because his friends, not friends, sorry, they are not friends. So classmates falsely implicated him, like got him trapped in situations in which he was not responsible, committing that crime or that kind of mistake. But the Guru thought that being a prince, he is showing a lot of air and he is like throwing tantrum and he's not getting the work done of the Gurukul, and thus he penalized him by throwing him out of the like Gurukul. And this boy, he was like suddenly quite lost. He was like, I'm not to be blamed, yet I am victimized. And when he goes back to the kingdom, tries to explain the situation to his father is also not understanding, and he's like, you are a matter of shame, like you are bringing shame upon the family that you have been kicked out of the Gurukul. Just get lost, I don't want to see your face, and I ostracize you, I throw you out of the kingdom also. Don't be visible in the kingdom. Now that's too harsh a punishment for a teenager. I hope you're understanding that. So within 3 sentences, you mentioned this. Okay. You need power of language, how to go precise. If you don't have power of language, you'll start stretching the story. And then this happened, so this happened, and this will kill the story. Okay. So learn the power of precision. It is necessary for GS answers because in 150 words, you have to write a world of wisdom. And same applies to essay. Just because you have to write 17 pages or 18 pages does not give you the intellectual liberty to write 2 pages story. Okay. It should not be more than 70, 80 words on an average. Otherwise, it becomes too stretchy. 40, 50 words, all the more better. Okay, because it should land well. Okay, so 70 to 80 words is sufficient. This is what I'll say. Let the story not cross the first page in other language. Okay, do not let the story cross the first page. It should be within, preferably within half the page or 2/3 of the page. That's what I imply to say, because if it is more than 2 pages, then it will create a problem. All right. So after the second like let's say or third sentence, whatever you've written, then you are writing that hence Angulimal headed towards the forest where he was attacked by the dacoits or the thugs. That was the word that was used. So he was attacked by the thugs, and in the process he fought with resistance and was able to kill them. Full stop. This was the beginning of the journey from the prince to Angulimal. Dot dot dot. And then you are changing the para and you are discussing. Hence, we need to realize that juvenile delinquency is a problem which is a byproduct of a society which fails to socialize a child, uh, especially during times of vulnerability and mistakes when a child commits. Proper counseling, guidance, and support is needed for these children if we want to avoid them becoming into hardened criminals as they grow up. Full stop. Understanding that? So you're starting the story, you're connecting it with the like logical explanation and logical, we can say, insight that you are deriving from the story. Getting it? So that's how you connect. And that's how you are making an interesting engagement while you are starting with it. All right. I use this anecdote in ethics test series in one of the quotations. That is, every man is sin in past, bit sage is future. Okay, all right, that's fine. Like Nitesh, but every man is sin in past, bit stage in future. Okay, you can just reform the language. Rest is fine. Okay. So delinquency, juvenile delinquency, bal aparadh, Sakib. I hope now you are understanding it. Okay. So what happened next? After that, what happened next? Next means like Sahil, I cannot understand. Life is unfair. What it is? Oh, bahut dukh. All right. Now, so as you are understanding mythological stories, even if you are discussing it, you saw that I wrapped it up within 5 sentences. Max, it would have stretched to 70 words. Max. Okay. So do not let it stretch beyond a given limit. Avoid any kind of sensational, like we can say, sensational examples which can have a divided opinion. Okay, see to it that the examples are standard and they are accepted by and large by everyone. Any contemporary politician, any contemporary, we can say, situation, life situation, if you're picking it and quoting it, it may backfire. So it is advisable, refrain from any sensational example, right? Now, so how to improve language of precision? The more you write, the more you learn how to write it in a gist. Okay, so practicing is the key. Now, with respect to imaginary situation, so for imaginary situation, maybe I can give you yet another example of a selected candidate. So this fellow Rajendra, he was my student in 2015. So this boy, he was from IIT, and he was from one of the rural villages of this Churu. Okay, and this boy, he also experienced child marriage. So in 2015, when I met him, I was amazed by both the facts. That first, he was from a Hindi medium school. He was married at the age of 16, and after marriage, after, like, being a Hindi medium school student, he prepared and he cleared IIT entrance, and then he has come to prepare for civil services. So through and through brilliant, very soft spoken, and he had opted for Hindi medium. And so what happened was that this boy, as he was preparing for this exam, what happened was that initially he could not clear it. He had Hindi literature as his optional, and Hindi medium. I asked him that why Hindi medium. He said that, ma'am, I'm more comfortable in conversing and writing in Hindi, because till standard 12th I studied in Hindi medium. So I cannot suddenly start thinking polity and economics and history, all of it in English. It will be tough for me. So I need to have that fluidity of expression. And trust me, with the kind of marks he got in his interview, like once he got selected as a revenue services officer twice. So once he got 145 or 143, and second time he got 137. And had he got something like 170, he would have been a proper IAS officer. Anyway, no comments upon that. So he was again a very profound writer when it came to essay writing. Okay, so and the way he disclosed his result was very interesting. During COVID, he just texted me that, ma'am, he just texted a number. I was like, what is this? He's like, ma'am, result is out. I was like, yes, yes. So he was like, just check this roll number. And when I saw his name, oh, it was such a happy news. It was such an overwhelming information, because this boy in 17, when he could not, like, get selected, what happened was that he prepared for SSC CGL, cleared it, got like posted in Chennai, and he was working in the this customs and excise department, and later on he cleared the exam. Why am I sharing this? Because real life examples should also motivate you. That in like those people who feel, oh my God, this can happen, that can happen. This boy was married. And many people who feel, oh, after marriage, everything is gone. If you have a sound partnership, a good friendship, it brings stability. If it only when the sound partnership is missing that things go haywire. He encouraged his wife to complete her like masters. So she did her graduation, her masters. After that, he encouraged her to fight for the Gram Panchayat election. She again became Sarpanch. Then she worked towards opening the primary school in the village, and like working towards child education, especially girl child education. So, like, I said that this is what is the idea of power couple for the new India defining the idea of power couple. So that's why I'm giving you this example, because some people live through their life. They are living examples with respect to their lives. Okay. So when we are discussing about this, let me give you n- real saint will never be short tempered, Sai. And those, like, you're when you're asking why saints are short tempered, real saints are not short tempered. They know how to exercise wisdom and peace. And those who are short tempered and quote unquote are referred as saints can be people who are running away from human civilization, and probably people who have realized that they own powers in their material chase. They might be disturbing the peace and equanimity of a saint, in which the person might be getting angered. But a true saint cannot get angered from the heart. Buddha had said that it's not that you do not get triggered with human emotions. When his disciple Anand had died, he said it's not that you don't get triggered by emotions, it's just that you see how it is affecting you. So when it was asked to Buddha that should anger be exercised, he said it should generally be avoided, but only if for correction of a situation there is no other way left other than exercising anger. Let it only affect the tip of the tongue, let it not affect the heart. So if a person is exercising anger whereby from outside the person is like exercising a specific speech, let it not be something which is impacting the heart, the emotion, because that will be tremendous and that will be damaging. All right. So I hope, Sai, that's clear. Anyway, so when we are discussing about this person, let me share the imaginary incident that he had quoted. All right. So in this, yes, you can quote, Sai, you can quote mythological stories from other kind of religious texts also. You can pick stories from oral traditions also. That's perfectly fine. All right. Now, so Durvasa Rishi was aggressive, yeah, and then try to find out in what situations was Durvasa aggressive. All right, just try to find that out, because he was aggressive is known, but in what condition needs to be understood. They were not mad people, right? They only avoided chaos and unnecessary uh, disturbance or distraction. That was something, or stupidity, in other words. Okay, now uh, how to recognize these bulk of mythological quotations? Ethics will help you. Ethics, you remember, we were quoting like so many texts heavily, and as you keep reading more and more, and you come across a lot of incidents, like situations, examples, you can pick it. Okay, Durvasa Rishi is ma'am SME teachers. What? Durvasa Rishi. It is ma'am SME's teachers, huh, Sakib? You don't need to bother who Durvasa was. Just call it off. All right. Now, getting back to the imaginary situation that he quoted. So, the imaginary situation was like this, that on a specific winter morning, okay, or on a specific day in December at 10:10 a.m., few citizens were basking under the sun. Now you can visually imagine this sentence. One sentence, okay. So on a specific day in December at 10:10 a.m., few senior citizens were basking under the sun near India Gate. Now you can imagine India Gate, there is green pasture. Everyone has seen that, right? And in the green pasture, senior citizens are sitting and basking under the sun. Okay. So because it's good to get sunlight, and it's not even early morning, it's 10:10, because early morning it will be dewy and it will be cold, right? So you can imagine all that. So that's something when we are speaking of it. Shivani, if you're asking for my email ID, okay, I'll just write my email ID somewhere. So, okay, shweta.satya.singh at gmail.com. Now, let us focus on the anecdote, because that will be a distraction which kills the impact. All right, so everyone just focus on this anecdote. So, first sentence goes that on a specific day in December at 10:10 a.m., few senior citizens were basking under the sun, comma, near India Gate, full stop. Okay. Second statement, from how, where, and why have sorry, I just jumped a sentence. Okay, I'm really bad. Okay, so second sentence, he writes that within few minutes, hundreds of youth congregated near India Gate. Okay, so now you are visualizing that, like senior citizens are like basking under the sun, and within few minutes, hundreds of youth are pouring from all directions, and they are congregating near India Gate. Okay, they are coming near India Gate. So you're like, okay, fine, you can visualize that. Third sentence, from how, where, why have so many youth congregated, and what is the purpose of this congregation, question mark. Now you are feeling the same thing, that it's December, why have so many people come together, what is the purpose, that too like in the morning. So that is a question which even the reader holds in the heart, right? Third statement, he changes the para after the third statement, because sentences are sizable, so changes the para to maintain the rhythm. And that's why it is, like I always say, that write short paras, don't write too long and stretchy paras. At least in one page, 2 paras should be visible at least in one page. Okay, so maybe towards the end also, if you are changing the para, that's fine, but one page, one full page written content, no. Some kind of change should be there. Even 3 paras are fine, but at least 2 paras should be visible. Anyway, he changes the para after these 3 sentences. Next sentence he writes that the answer to the question why these people have congregated lies in the formation of this new nation, which is barely a decade old, but its population is competing with that of India and China. You're like, huh? Dude, what was that? How is it connected to the topic? What did you imply to say? So, as an examiner, you lift your pen. You do not appreciate this statement. You are ready to deduct marks. Okay, because you are unable to make sense out of this sentence. That answer to this congregation, why people have congregated, lies in the formation of a nation which is barely like a decade old, but its population is competing with India and China. You're like, you're not making sense out of it, right? And then he changes the sentence, and next sentence, the fifth sentence, he writes, yes, yes, the implication is towards quote unquote social media, which is a technical term used for all online platforms, which helps the youth to come together over various issues, to raise their voice in protest over various causes, and to get their opinions heard. Full stop. Okay, the topic was, if you reflect upon it, the topic was social media and its impact over the youth. Okay, social media तथा युवाओं पर उसका पड़ता प्रभाव. Okay, so this is what he had written. All those students who understand Hindi, I'm just briefly narrating the 5 sentences in Hindi, so that because he was a Hindi medium student, so that you can connect with what he had written. ठीक है, सो दिसंबर माह के किसी सुबह सुबह 10:10 कुछ वरिष्ठ नागरिक इंडिया गेट के पास धूप सेक रहे थे. कुछ ही मिनटों में देखते ही देखते सैकड़ों की संख्या में युवा इकट्ठा हो गए. इतने सारे लोग कहां से, क्यों और कैसे इकट्ठा हुए? क्वेश्चन मार्क. एंड देन ही चेंजेस द पैरा. एंड देन ही राइट्स, इसका जवाब है वह नन्हा सा राष्ट्र जिसे पैदा हुए मुश्किल से 10 वर्ष हुए हैं, लेकिन उसकी जनसंख्या भारत और चीन के बाद सर्वाधिक है. जी हाँ, तकनीकी भाषा में हम उसे सोशल मीडिया कहते हैं, जिसके माध्यम से युवा अपनी बातों को प्रस्तुत कर पाते हैं, विविध मुद्दों पर इकट्ठा हो पाते हैं और अपने मंतव्यों को साझा कर पाते हैं. पूर्ण विराम. एंड द टॉपिक वाज सोशल मीडिया तथा युवाओं पर पड़ता उसका प्रभाव. All right, so I hope all of you are able to understand that how a student is able to create an imaginary situation out of this topic. Majority of the people will have a tendency to write social media is associated with various online platforms which facilitates the youth to share images, pictures, photos, ideas, and perspectives. There are various platforms today connected to formal and informal conversation. LinkedIn can provide professional contacts, whereas this is how people write. That's the standard pattern of writing about social media. But social media and its impact on the youth, creating an imaginary situation and talking about it, this is something. Now, the statement which he wrote, that it is a nation which is barely a decade old. Now, the thing is, a nation is different from a nation state. A nation is actually a group of people having a common shared sense of idea. That is what nation means. Like the Kurd community. Kurds are present, you can see, in Iraq, in Iran, okay, in Turkey, in Syria, 4 places, 4 countries. They are a nation, not a nation state. Nation state whereby sovereignty is there, it is recognized as a country. Nation is whereby you have a shared common sense of belongingness, common sense of idea. Okay, but you don't have necessarily a geographical boundary or geographical territory. Okay, so nation is that shared sense of belongingness and feeling. So and in 2016, the total strength of social media had crossed barely 1 billion, and at that time India's population at that time was considered to be 1.29, and at that time China's population was considered to be 1.4. So it just crossed 1 billion. So the data and the facts and insights which he wrote was associated with that. all right. Like Balochis are a nation in Pakistan, not a nation state. They wanted separate identification. In India, you can see that with Manipur or with like Nagaland, or sometimes you can find it in Kashmir, or you can see the Khalistan movement or the Dravid Nadu movement. All these are nations, but not nation state. They aspire to become a nation state. Okay. So that's something which you need to understand, the difference between nation and nation state. So explanations were like, this is how the explanation was given, and this is what it implied. All right. So it means we can make our